to order. As a courtesy to others, please silence your cell phones or turn theirs off like I'm doing, and then engage in conversations outside the chambers. If you'd like to speak under public comments or on a particular item on the agenda, please fill out a request to speak card and turn it into the city clerk. The cards are located near the doors at the back of the chambers. And Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Spriggs,
Here.
Councilmember Patton,
Here.
Councilmember West,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bragg,
Here.
Mayor Dedina.
Here.
They're outside. I saw them outside. Building fire.
Count of three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's good? That's good? All right. And now we have, okay, agenda changes. We are going to ask, Councilmember Bragg has asked that we move items 2.4 and 2.6. Motion?
Second. I mean, moved. Yeah.
Oh, second, I'm sorry. Yeah, please vote.
Motion carried unanimously.
Great, thank you. And then thank you for doing that. And then we have council member report, starting with Councilmember Spriggs.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple quick items. This past Monday, City Manager Andy Hall and I spent about 12 hours on the train to make a round trip from Santa Barbara to participate in the leadership committee for the Coastal Cities group of the League of California Cities in a meeting, a very important meeting with Jack Ainsworth. And Jack Ainsworth is the new executive director of the Coastal Commission. So he actually was very, very forthcoming in his approach to Coastal Commission. And it's kind of reminiscent of what our city manager, Andy Hall, is. He's trying to change the Coastal Commission staff's approach from a culture of, I wouldn't say no, but a culture of you got to do this, you got to do that, to a culture of let's work together. And I think that's going to be very refreshing if he can pull it off, and made our trip worthwhile. The Coastal Commission has issued residential sea level rise guidelines. The comment period is now through the 15th of next month. And I don't know whether we're doing anything organized to get comments from our community, but I'm trying to get comments from the Seacoast Drive folks. So I hope to be able to coordinate those with Jim Nakagawa and get something good in from Imperial Beach. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Patton?
Yeah, just real quick, went to the grand opening of Chipotle with Councilmember West and the mayor. I've yet to eat in there yet. My family has. There's a new haircut store there for $7, $8, ridiculously low. I missed the fishing derby. The first time I missed it for years. Family obligations, unfortunately, but I heard it's a great success with the Kiwanis. Humane Society listened to me a few meetings ago where I said, why don't you just mail out the license? And that's what they're doing. And so they're mailing out the dog license instead of making the citizens call them to get it sent to them. And they also offer two websites. One's called Pet Hub, the other's called Finding Rover, where you can put your dog's picture on there. And it's a way to find your dog in case it gets lost. So good job, Humane Society. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Councilmember West?
Are the dog selfies? Great. I'm really excited to, thanks to the leadership of the city with the council here, we had our fourth Clean Cities Initiative for 2016. It was a huge success. We had about 121 volunteers from our city and around the all over through San Diego as well. Removed 332 pounds of trash from our community up on the Bicycle Village, and was really excited about it. That means to this year, we have had 500 in our 4 Clean Cities initiatives. We had 523 volunteers and 1,500 pounds of trash removed from our community. So, and that's all on our streets. And we've had 23 graffiti sites addressed. So I'm very excited that all of you guys have been very supportive of the Clean Cities initiatives. I thank the mayor for coming, and it's I'm really excited about it. So great. And our next one is actually going to be on September 16th, and that's will be our 5th one. Katie had her 8th annual Endless Summer Grom Fest, which was a huge success for our community. The mayor went and got them all fired up, and the Groms were definitely shredding all day. And I was a judge and was there for 7 hours of judging, and it was, but it was great. It was a fantastic event. And also that day was the 2nd annual San Diego South Small Business Association, and they did it at Portwood Plaza, and they gave away a bunch of school supplies for all our kids. It was a great, and the sheriffs, they were there, and it was a great event, and you guys were integral part of it. And but thanks so much. And upcoming events that I'd like to mention tomorrow night at the Tijuana River Estuary is our Surf Rider will be doing a no border sewage campaign committee meeting. There'll be all of the San Diego chapter will be down here in IB. So love to see some people come out. And yeah, that's it there.
Great, Vice Mayor Bragg.
Thank you. I just wanted to alert the community that I did receive an email text from one of our residents who was walking over in the estuary and had sighted 3 rattlesnakes. So City Manager Hall, I wanted to ask that maybe we could do some outreach to the estuary, asking them to, there is signage there, but to maybe elevate that signage. I guess it's down low enough so that the snakes can see it, but evidently the people can't. So if you're out there, please be careful. Thank you.
Great. Ditto on the Katie's contest. It was great to see Mark West judging. I'm glad I wasn't. That's actually our job. Fishing derby. Mr. Patton, I thought you had eaten at Chipotle's. You had a coupon or something. I guess your kids did. Is that right? Okay. All right. You sacrificed for them. And then I was with Councilmember West today at a press conference. I was invited by Mayor Faulkner to participate in a press conference supporting the reauthorization and renegotiation of NAFTA. Our City of Imperial Beach piece was to say that we really emphasize environmental protections, that it can't be an excuse to eliminate them. We need to really enhance protections for clean air and water on both sides of the border. So that was good. An opportunity to meet with our County Supervisor Greg Cochran talking about the water quality issue. So that was nice to have a nice, productive, proactive conversation with him. And then tomorrow I'll be giving public testimony at the State Lands Commission That's a California state agency that's in theory in charge of the reducing marine pollution and dealing with it. And they have jurisdiction over state lands in the state. So hopefully I'll be able to talk to Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom about the issue and getting more engaged in water quality issues. I talked to the executive officer of the State Lands Commission today, and then did emphasize that it shouldn't be up to the state of California. State park system should not be a pollution prevention agency and basically spending all their time managing, capturing toxic waste, trash, and sewage at Border Field, or having Silver Strand closed all the time, or having our state marine protected area here closed all the time, which means that kids don't have access to those beaches. And more importantly, state parks personnel aren't spending their time helping kids go to the beach and families go to the beach. They're spending their time cleaning up garbage and sewage and Border Field. So, which also happens to be part of the city of Imperial Beach. So anyway, we'll continue on that front. And I think we're all going to be relieved when other folks take responsibility for this, so we can all get back to just spending all our time focused on working to improve and enhance the quality of life in our great city. But just want to shout out to the city staff for all the great work they do. We emphasized today that you've gotten a lot of big things done, huge things done. 9th and Palm, Bikeway Village, Breakwater Project, Elm Street. So now the council members and I can start focusing on the little things that we used to notice that didn't really have time for. But you're
hearing
maybe
them
it's
now.
almost a relief that we're spending all our time on pollution issues. So we're not talking to you about all the, we don't really see that many problems, but anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. Just to say that our staff are doing a great job. We really appreciate it. I know all of us see all of the great work they do. And it's a pleasure to see you guys and know that we're actually, like I said, we got a lot of big projects finished, which is remarkable. The 9th and Palm Shopping Center is a big hit. And I'm going to say it again. There's a reason why Grocery Outlet is there. It's a great fit for our community. The people who are in Grocery Outlet, including me and my family, I'm there about every other day, filling up the refrigerator, need to be there. It's a perfect fit. It's an affordable and first-class grocery store for our community. And I think people really appreciate it. And it's still packed all the time. So that's it. And now we're so lucky to have the U.S. Navy here again. We're glad. I'm sorry, a public comment. Never mind.
But I had one other thing.
I'll continue that in a second.
Mayor and council, as you know, we have an employee who has dedicated his entire adult life and a lot of his youth to the city of Imperial Beach, and that's John Cartier. And this past week, John lost his mother, who has also been an important part of our community. And we just wanted to let John know that our thoughts are with him. He's been out the last couple of days, and if we can have Robert pass that on, we really appreciate it. And he's dedicated literally his entire adult life to this community, and we really appreciate him. So just wanted to let.
Well, everyone knows Mrs. Cartier, so yeah. Another superstar, June Engel, if you want to come up and give us an update. Representing IB Kiwanis, not the library, is that correct? And by the way, my tweet about the fishing derby was retweeted by Kiwanis International.
Yes, it was.
That's awesome. That
Yes,
was
it
cool.
We went international,
that was great
but
to see
we're always going international. We're so special.
Oh, good.
So, hi, I'm June Engel. I'm the branch manager at the Imperial Beach Library. I'm also a member of the Kiwanis Imperial Beach at South Bay Club. I originally came here because I wanted to let you guys know that our September annual fundraiser is coming up. We usually have the Boys and Girls Club. In this case, we're going to have it down actually at Pier Plaza. And we're going to have food trucks. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you can all come. And coincidentally, I just happen to have some tickets in my purse. And if you find Gary Brown, he happens to have tickets. And any member of the Kiwanis Club has tickets. So if you're interested in getting some tickets, just come on over to the library. I have some flyers to give to the city clerk to hand out to you. I don't know how many you heard. I know I passed it on to the mayor and Andy Hall, but last Monday, the library won its first award for architecture. We won one of the 3 awards of merit for a small project under $10 million. When I say the first award that we've won, we're up for the onion and orchid as well. And the orchid part, not the onion part. But I expect that we are going to get a lot more. It's a very special building in a very special place, and I'm looking forward to telling you more about more awards. So that's all. You guys have a great evening.
Great, thank you. Any more? Oh, okay. Did you have any comments or? No. Okay. Okay, so now, I'm sorry, now we have the United States Navy. We're pleased to have Captain Mulville giving a presentation on the Naval Outlying Landing Field in Imperial Beach. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much, and thanks for having us here. I certainly appreciate being here. I do want to say that we thoroughly enjoyed Grocery Outlet. My wife played smackdown to it. My kids like shopping there. So there's some good stuff, good products, and I'm very impressed with how it turned out. So I was there for the groundbreaking with you probably about 18 months ago. I'm amazed at how well it turned out. So fantastic. I really enjoy it. You guys did a very
And
nice job.
Nice
on it.
cover,
So
Captain. We appreciate it.
I like my hat. This is a nice one. It's got to know your audience. A little Imperial Beach action going on here. So it's good stuff. So I also want to introduce my team real quick. So we have Cindy DeMunick. She's our public affairs officer. Lori Scott is our new public works officer. So you guys remember I brought Dan Cook down here. He's the next guy who understands architecture and engineering and making things work and fixing things. And we also have Tim Slentz. He's going to be my replacement in about a year. When I'm out of here, he'll take over. So I'm letting him out in public now to start meeting people, start seeing what's going on here, and to engage with some of the communities. So with all that being said, I'll talk about what we have going on here at Naval Base Coronado. So as always, we're busy. Right now, we have the USS Theodore Roosevelt's out at sea for about a month as they make preparations to go on deployment. So the Vincent is in. They're going through a little bit of maintenance period before they head out again. You'll also start seeing the USS Stennis in town in about another 6 weeks. They'll be coming through as they do training. They'll be picking up people, picking up stuff in the port of North Island, and they'll head back out and continue on with their training. As always, we have lots of helicopter operations going on. We have about 6 deployed squadrons around the world executing different missions, some on Nimitz, some on smaller ships throughout the world. The Navy SEALs continue to do their thing. We recently had a graduating class. We're happy to send them out to the fleet as they get ready to deploy and keep protecting us as we keep on going. Some of the other recent events we've had and some of our very current events, if you look at the top left, you'll see a Coast Guard helicopter that we had as a surprise static display model on State Route 75. So the aircrew was flying. They had a very bad emergency that they handled very well, but it required a land emergency. They looked down and saw some open asphalt, put it down safely in the parking lot. And now that airplane is flying again after about 3 days of maintenance. They swapped out the broken parts and out it goes. So I just wanted to explain what happened there. I was very happy because it was Coast Guard news, not Navy news. But I thought you guys might be interested in that one because it was on State Route 75. On the top right, we recently commissioned the USS Rafael Peralta. So he's a local hero, one of the Marines out of Chula Vista. We had over 3,000 people attend, and the Commandant of the Marine Corps was the guest speaker. So pretty impressive. We have a new ship out stationed over at Naval Base San Diego. The bottom left, you guys may have seen some scorched earth on State Route 75 heading south along my fence line. We had a rather mentally unstable person who elected to put fire to that piece of roadway. So there was an accident that happened here at that location. This guy came out of nowhere and literally started lighting fire to the grass. As there was responders on scene anyway, they put it out quickly. And Coronado PD rolled him up, and he's arrested and being charged with arson. But I wanted to explain why that burnt patch was there. So kind of exciting. Yeah, I think we had the teams out there. I don't think he got tased. I wish he had because he was trying to burn my base. That's a different program on how you handle that. Maybe next time, consider that over you guys on how you handle that. Yeah. In the middle is Chief Andy Mills. We recently commissioned our new 900-bed barracks after him. So he is a living hero. He served during the Battle of the Midway. He's been recognized by the USS Midway. He's 102 years old. Fantastic history. He was one of the first African-American chiefs in the Navy, served a career in the Navy, and then he went on to serve in the Postal Service. But he's still a local hero, local legend running around. So we were able to do a good dedication ceremony for him for our new 900 barracks for our sailors who are serving on the aircraft carrier much like he did a couple of decades ago. In the bottom middle, we recently hosted the Low Tide Ride and Stride, starting off down here and running all the way up the beach. Huge hit, lots of people, no issues, and a lot of fun for everybody on a beautiful day. I don't know if you guys made it out there. It was good fun. On the bottom right is an event we have coming up here in November. So in conjunction with our centennial, which I'll talk about, this is the Huey helicopter that's in support of a movie called Take Me Home, Huey. So as a master helicopter base with all the helicopter operations going on, we're also hosting them as they show the movie on the base. And you'll see this helicopter out in town as they build awareness for it. So it's very much in support of Vietnam veterans, the Vietnam War, and it should be a good event for us as we go through there. And that takes us to our centennial event. We will be celebrating our 100th year on Veterans Day, November 11th, with some celebrations on North Island. So this celebration will be open up to anybody who can get on base normally. And for veterans, we're asking that they go to the local VFW, and within about the next 2 weeks, we'll be handing out tickets to the local VFW for them to hand out to veterans to come on base. So if you have one of these tickets, you're a veteran, we're gonna get you on base, and we're gonna have static displays of old airplanes and new airplanes, a lot of the different vehicles that are used by our different tenant commands. So there'll be a bunch of fun displays. We're gonna have a kids zone for the kids to take advantage of, and we'll have an adult zone which has more focus on beer and food, but it depends on what your interests are. Be good fun, and then we'll have concerts throughout the day, culminating with Corbin Easton Easton Corbin. There we go. I had that one. So a headliner for the country western performance. He recently performed in San Diego. He's coming to perform for us. So it should be a great event. We're expecting a good crowd, good turnout, and it's always good weather here. So we think that'll work out very well. So that's what's been going on and what's coming up for us as we go through here. I was asked recently by some residents about, hey, talk to me about air operations. So I'd like to brief you briefly on air operations, what we have going on here. So I think some numbers are pretty eye-opening here. As you look at North Island up the street here for you at Imperial Beach, Brownfield, which is close to us, in San Diego International, you can see the number of takeoff and landings that are happening at these respective airfields. So there's a lot of training that goes on at North Island, phenomenal amount of training that goes on here at Imperial Beach, but each one of those numbers represents a helicopter, and that helicopter may come down and get 10 events for that one helicopter that's here. So it's not 10 separate helicopters coming down. That's one helicopter coming down and doing 10 landings they go through here. It is a very aviation intensive area, and your facilities here at Imperial Beach are fantastic for the training of our helicopter pilots to maintain their proficiency, so they can take those skills around the world and have them honed wherever they may be called on to serve. As we look at the airfield of Imperial Beach, north is up, and we have our runways down there. We try to be very good on our airfield hours, so we don't have guys flying before 8 o'clock, and then we're either done flying there at 10:30 at night or 11 at night, depending on daylight savings times. So we're not flying very late here. We're on deck by 6 o'clock on Fridays, so we try to knock off early, and we don't fly on the weekends down here. We're trying to be good neighbors as we execute the required flight operations that we have at this particular airfield. The specific question was, what altitudes are people flying at as they're coming in and out? So the rules are, as they're flying in or out of that airfield, they need to be above 800 feet if flying above the houses on the beach. So as they exit to fly over the beach or come from the beach, they have to be above 800 feet. And based on that, we've had very few complaints on that. I think they've been complying with them. We're very careful watching them. I have many people in the tower who are watching, and within the cockpit, there are also multiple people watching to make sure they comply with the rules. So I feel we're doing a good job with that. The other way they're allowed to do it is if they fly over the beach a quarter mile south of the houses, they can be below 800 feet. Rarely does that happen because the primary action is over the beach, over the houses, so everyone's above 800 feet. The other rule that we've employed is that if you fly over the city at all, you need to be above 1,000 feet. So we're trying to get that noise up higher, out of the way. But as you'll see on my next slide, most of the routing for helicopters coming and going from Imperial Beach is over the water. That's where they do their business. That's how they get here. That's how they leave here. So we don't have them flying over the city much at all. We don't want them over the city. We have them over the water. And those are our primary ways that they are coming and going from Imperial Beach facility. Before I kick over to my coastal campus video, I'll leave this up for a second. The next thing I want to talk about and show you is a wonderful video that we have that details the construction plan and progress of the coastal campus that's coming along. So as we get that queued up, not sure what's going to happen here to get to that slide. I'll leave this up in case anyone wants to contact us. We do have a community concerns hotline. So it's not just for noise, it's also if you're seeing problems. We've had some issues on State Route 75, some growing pains with the signage that's out there saying that it's 55 miles per hour. We had one sign that was saying it on the weekend and it's not turned on the weekend. So we have some growing pains, but these are how we hear about these issues. So if we can go back to, time 49. So this is the Coastal Campus Project. I'll talk about, so this is a beautiful CGI. As we develop here, we can see what we currently have existing. And then by year, what are we developing? So 2016, we have most of those buildings are up, funded, being worked on. 2017 is our biggest year. That's where all of our work really gets done. Keep ready to hit pause there for a second. Yeah, okay. So yeah, certainly go back for a little bit. So when the year 2017 flashes up, or any of the years flash up, that's the year that we have funding for those particular projects. So right now, projects that were funded in 2015 are coming to fruition. Projects coming funded in 2017 that we're working on right now. So 2017 is our biggest year. We have 50% of our projects were awarded and being worked on this year. We continue. So this is a big 2017 right now. We have a lot of parking lots going in. We have a lot of utilities going in, and all the utilities will be underground. And a lot of the roadways are going in also. So you can just leave a pause there for a second. That's the end state of what this is going to look like. So it's very much a campus feel, and that's why we're calling it the Coastal Campus. It's a very low profile design. So if you're heading south or north on it, it's not obnoxious. I'm putting that out there, so it's not obnoxious. You could keep playing it to minute 149. I'm going to talk a little bit about our entry control point. That's our main gate. So those were concerns that people voiced to us about, hey, how are you going to get people off the highway? How are you going to not screw up the highway? Because the highway works very well at that particular intersection or that particular location. So we have growth plans for this thing funded through 2022. So we keep getting money for this project through that, and it'll be built out, completed by 2024, I believe, the latest. We have a couple other projects there. We got some sweet looking helicopters flying down the coastline. I asked them to put some jets in. They said they did. The jets just went by so quickly you couldn't see them. So imagine jets went by really quick. You can hit pause there. All right, so this is our entry control point. As we're looking at this, we're looking from north to south. If you were driving south on State Route 75, this is how you would get into the facility. And as I discussed with this council before, we work very hard to make sure that we get cars off State Route 75 as quickly as we can. If there's a traffic problem, it's my problem on the base and not your problem. Based on the traffic engineering that we've done, I believe we've achieved that goal. I've got tons of space and lanes to get people on my base and off the highway. But we'll have no problems with people turning right from State Route 75. And as we discussed, we'll have a timed light that will be set up for people who need to turn left from coming up north on it. Still working with Caltrans to make sure we get it right. And as I promised you, this will be we are a growing and learning organism. So as we see problems, we'll talk about it, we'll figure out how to tweak it, and we'll work with Caltrans to tweak it as best we can to make sure that we get it right. We're very aware of that, and we've certainly taken that into consideration during our planning and during construction. So you'll see construction going on right now inside the gate. So we're going to do all of that construction, and then once everything inside the gate is ready, then we'll come out and start working with Caltrans to do construction on the State Route 75.
Captain, is the building to the right? Is that the visitor pass and decal office there?
Yes.
So it's all on there too.
That's correct. So as you come up to the Serpentine, we'll have a rejection lane. So the first little Y that breaks off there,
Yep.
That'll be for trucks. So trucks will go up there and get inspected. And we'll also, as we work with MTS, our goal is we'd love to get them to come on base, drop people off, and then spin out through there.
Yeah.
So we're still working that particular aspect. Not a done deal yet, but that is where the pass and tag off will be. You come up through there. So we can get all business taken care of, lots of overflow. Now we go.
Thank you.
So I will leave a pause here for any other questions on this particular video or anything at all. I'm ready for any questions you may have.
Great questions, comments?
You know, I'm on that road a lot, summertime, all hours, and it's been great. You know, I haven't seen, you know, the signage. I know the rules of, you know, but I'm wondering, does the police? I'd hate to get pulled over, you know. People don't seem to be going the speed limit, though. They seem like they're going much faster through that area. I don't know if you've noticed that, but the traffic there, it's been the big trucks. They must happen at times in the middle of the night, or when are the big trucks?
We have carefully scheduled them so it's not during rush hour. So hopefully that's why you're not doing your transit back and forth, as we specifically scheduled them for after about 9 o'clock, and they're done by 1600s. They're out of the way.
No, I mean it's going smooth, and you know, I watch. You know, I look at what's going there. Like, wow, where did that wall come from? I mean, it happens. You blink your eye, there's another wall up. You know, you guys are moving quick.
The construction is amazing because it is wall up construction. You have walls laid on the ground. They
Right.
pop them up, and suddenly within a day you have a building.
Right.
Away they go.
But yeah, good job. Keep it up.
Thank you. Working hard to get to this point.
Thanks, Captain. I really appreciate the video. Can you explain to me some alternative transportation? Is there bike lanes on this as well?
Yes, so we will have bike lanes in there. We've got bike stations all over the place. If we played the whole video, we'd have little shadow people on bikes with
Nice.
helmets on there going back and forth. So
Wait, reflective vest too?
not on base, but
Okay.
I like where you're going with it. So the base is very much designed to be super walkable. So there's centralized parking so that anywhere you need to go, you can walk to it very quickly. It's a super fit population there also, a bunch of Navy SEALs. We certainly do have consideration for biking. I'm trying to stay away from skateboards and skate parks, but we will have bike lanes set up for them, and we'll also have make it supremely walkable.
Leads to my next question. Is there any electric car charging on the base whatsoever in that? And I see a lot of parking lots, but I'm wondering if there's any charging stations.
This is a wonderful question because we just dealt with this one. So for personal vehicles, we, the government, cannot give away electricity.
Mm-hmm.
For my government vehicles, we currently do not have I think we have like 1 or 2 electric vehicles in all of San Diego right now, and I don't have any on Naval Base Coronado, except for my golf cart. That doesn't really count.
No.
We, the Navy, are trying to figure out where are the best hubs to put electric vehicles. Those electric vehicles will have charging stations for government vehicles only.
Okay.
So with that being said, the Navy Exchange has a charging station for non-government vehicles. You pay a couple of bucks, it's a pretty good deal. That's the only place that personal vehicles can get charged.
And is there a little exchange on this base then?
We do not have current plans for an exchange. So
Okay.
right now we have the IB, they come
Yep.
down here to this one or up to NAB or elsewhere.
Perfect. Thanks, Captain.
Vice Mayor Brett.
Thank you. Captain, thank you for being here and bringing your team as well. Welcome. I think you'll enjoy working with the city of Imperial Beach. You touched briefly on the MTS bus. Can you just explain that a little bit further? And is that an express bus for military only or still part of the public system? And
So we are very early in negotiation with them, trying to figure out what they will support. So at least we want them to have a bus stop on State Route 75 where people come off and we have crosswalks set up for them. We would love to get to the point where they would actually come on base, let the passengers off, load up more passengers and go. So that gets my people another 800 feet, 1,000 feet closer to work anyway. So I would love that. So I don't have any more other answers for you. This is still a couple years off, and we're in the early stages of negotiation with MTS to see what they will and can support for us.
okay, I am our representative to MTS.
Perfect. All right.
So if there's anything I can help you with, please give me a call.
I will. Good. Thank you. I appreciate the offer.
Did you have more presentation, or was that?
Nope, that's it. So I'm going to pull that disc out, and I think
I
I'm done.
wanted to thank you, and then I wanted to echo Mr. Patton's comments about, lately, it seems like it's been pretty mellow, but where you really have to obey the speed is on the way south, which is, I really do. It would go down to 55 and with the trucks going, cars going in, it really makes a difference. I thought I saw the Coronado PD out there ticketing people one day. Maybe I was wrong, but anyway, thanks for working on this, and it's a really interesting project, so.
Thank you. For a safety point, my son is learning how to drive, and we were practicing on State Route 75.
Oh, good,
so
okay.
You'll see us in the right lane going slowly, so just
Okay,
pass us
well-
by and away you go.
Thanks for coming out and giving the presentation,
Absolutely.
all the
Thank you very
work
much.
you
I
do. We
appreciate the opportunity. It's always great to meet you. Thanks so much. Okay. Call us, please. Good luck on the rest.
That was supposed to be funny. Some have a sense of humor, some don't. Ginger Sacco, 1390 Santa Alicia Ave, Chula Vista 91913. I'm coming here today, sort of Stop the Poop, sort of not. So initially Stop the Poop attended Don't Mess with IB press conference, so that was pretty exciting. We're really excited with the outcome of that. During there, I happened to just wear this new shirt that said sewage spills since 1939, Stop the Poop established 2017. The back says share your citizens' rage at Stop the Poop Facebook group, Twitter, Stop the Poop IB. And I've had several hits on it, so now everyone wants one. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the proceeds, but I think I'm gonna try to find a way to either give it back to a charity or something along the line, so they may resurface somewhere in IB or the whole South Bay area. So then after the press release, we generated or after your press conference, we released a press release regarding your pending lawsuit in support, of course. And then shortly thereafter, or right before, we had a spill of 667,000, and then of course we had one of 760,000 gallons. So of course too much too quickly. And then we prepared a march on the border of Mexico, which did not go very well. That kind of flopped. A lot of people don't like to be on the border, kind of a safety issue. So a march on the border did not go as well as planned. Since then, I have resigned from Stop the Poop. I've decided that I do not want to be a part of it anymore, but I have formed my own Stop the Poop South Bay, where I want to form a coalition with San Diego, Coronado, National City, Chula Vista, and I just forgot one because I wrote them all down. Hold on. Coronado IB, Chula Vista National. Hello, I'm standing in IB. Sorry about that. You guys aren't forgotten, I promise. So yesterday I went to Coronado and their open session or their closed session, several of us from several different entities came in and started discussing the desire for the mayor to join y'all in your lawsuit. And after about the third person, the mayor said, we're not really here to discuss that. That's not on the agenda. And we're like, we know. And we kept discussing it. And then, of course, they went unclosed and it ended up being on the agenda later. And more people talked about it. But I wasn't there for the second part because I hightailed at the Chula Vista and addressed Mary Salas and told her about how she's the largest city with no voice, whereas IB is the smallest with the loudest. And we needed her to step up because it's her beach too. And though their public comment, they're not supposed to be talking, she did tell me that she's working very closely with Mayor Dedina and is well aware of everything that's going on. So I don't know. I guess she is. Maybe so. So that's what I have to report today. Thank you. You're welcome.
I would like to entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items numbers 2.1 through 2.3, 2.5, 2.6, and 2.9. Please vote. Did it work?
No.
Motion carried unanimously.
Now we have report items 5.1 to 5.3, and 5.1 is something we're just bringing back really soon. Actually, we only talked about it not too long ago. Resolution number 2017-7849, authorizing the replacement of the Imperial Beach Boulevard monument sign and appropriates $30,000 from risk management fund towards the project. And Mr. Helmer will give the report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We're bringing back the item that we had on the June 21st council meeting, and this is where we presented some design options for the replacement of the Imperial Beach Monument sign. We heard your comment, and Simon from Graphic Solutions here is back again and revised the design, and we're here with something that's more IB Woody logo-ish 3D looking that I think you guys are gonna like. So I'll let Simon go through the two options that we're looking at, and hopefully get your feedback, and we'll move forward with replacement of the IB Monument sign.
Great. Thank you, Chris. And thanks, Mayor and Council. Nice to see you all again. So we heard you loud and clear last time that we want to make sure we present the city's logo as well as we can. So here's the existing site, which you've seen before plenty of times. Here's the option A. It's about the same size as well as location, of course, as the previous sign. Here's a view at night, the way we're intending to illuminate it. Here's, if you're going this way down the street, you're going the wrong way, but however, it does sort of illustrate the dimensionality of the car and again, the illumination. Option B is a little larger, a little higher and a little wider. I think it better proportions in the space. Obviously, we're suggesting sort of tidying up the landscaping and that whole piece. That's how that works. Similar illumination, front view, perspective view. And here's the dimensions of option A. Overall, width is about 10 feet, just fits in that space, and 4'10" overall height of the base. There's the 10-foot overall width, again, of the larger option B. And this gets the sign, the actual sign itself, instead of 8 feet wide, it's 8'9". And instead of, I don't have the width, the height of the sign itself, but overall height of the display is 6'2". So we have those two options, and there was only a few $1,000s difference in the construction cost, really one or the other. So it's fairly negligible. It's a matter of, I think, really proportions, which you would prefer to see there. Slightly lower sign, slightly bigger sign. But I'm looking forward to your comments, please.
Great, thanks. Did you guys want to have Mr. Andrews up for asking questions, or just want to have a discussion? Mr. Andrews, thank you. Right, you can sit down.
Good.
Great.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Spriggs, oh, sure.
Yes, is the lighting, could you describe the lighting a little bit?
Sure.
Is it uplit or is there some backlighting or
Yeah, it's
how's the illumination?
primarily, what we'd like to do is primarily internal illumination. It's easier to maintain that way. And with LEDs now, it's pretty efficient and will last a long time, so it doesn't need a lot of maintenance. We would like the light externally behind the little hedge there. We'd like to uplight. So yeah, so we can get some light on the base as well, the blue tiles that are there now and on the face of the sign. So, and we would balance that light so you still have effective lighting through the letters behind.
And both options have the
Both
same
options,
lighting?
yeah, really.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Andrews. Great. Sure.
I just have a question for you. Was there any input as far as the height of option B being a detriment to being able to see oncoming traffic or was that a concern, or I think that you're looking at
When I look
over
at the
6
site,
feet?
yeah, when I look at the site, I don't think it's going to be a big impediment to viewing traffic, which is moving and visible through the various things, trees, and the other things going on. I don't think it's a big issue, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Bragg, I'll have
brought up last time we did.
Mr. Minicelli chime in. We had him take it to the traffic engineer and ask that exact same question.
Yeah, my staff and I went to the site and examined it for sight distance, and with Georgia Street is immediately to the west, and it's far enough away that it's not an issue. We got a big tree there too. It's not going to be a problem.
Thanks, both of you. Thanks, Mr. Palmer.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a proposal?
I actually like option B. I think it's more robust. It's larger. We've improved our street. There are going to be more street improvements. I think it's really good. And it doesn't cost that much more. Is there a sense as to the cost differential? Less than $1,000?
Yeah,
Cents?
cost doesn't matter. Yeah, because it's very negligible on different sides.
Okay. So for those reasons, I would suggest we go with option B. Pretty clear to me.
I concur. I like option B. I think one thing that I would think is very important is that I liked our old signs, but I think that they were so slow that people didn't really, and I think that actually caused some of the accidents before us because they didn't really see them. So I'm a fan of, like most cities, there's a lot of communities that have these welcoming signs when you come into the community, and I want it to be when they drive into IB that they know they're in IB, and so I'm a fan of option B.
Was it option 1 or 2 or A or B?
A or B?
Yeah. I like B. I want to compliment you on the design. Very clean, sharp. I still, your other designs you did last time, save those. Those we have other places for those. Okay. Yeah. B.
He's not going anywhere. You can find him at La Jolla Store. So.
Yeah.
I would support option B as well, and I really do appreciate the idea of the uplighting and being able to maintain our community logo. That was important to us to keep that brand, but I think you've hit the nail on the head with this. It's just wonderful. Thank you.
Good. Sounds like we have an option B is our choice. So I would like to entertain a motion to select option B and adopt resolution number 2017-7849, authorizing the replacement of the Imperial Beach Boulevard monument sign and appropriate $30,000 to the risk management fund towards the project.
So moved.
Please vote. I didn't, my thing's not coming up.
Yeah, mine's not either.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thanks. I want to thank the city staff. Mr. Andrews, thank you for working on that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have resolution number 2017-7850, authorizing track 1 compliance pathway with regional water quality control board trash order. Mr. Helmer will give the report on the item.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. This item I'm bringing for you is one, an update you on the new statewide trash policy, to let you know kind of what's coming down and what's new with the new stormwater program. This is a much bigger deal in other agencies that aren't already doing things like community cleanups like we're doing with Mr. West, which we probably should be taking credit for with the regional board anyway, so I'll be working with you on that one. But also, to give you an idea of what the state's requiring, what the other jurisdictions in the entire state are being required to do, and then also to have you guys opportunity to let you know that we will be picking a compliance pathway to meet these new requirements with the new trash order. So I'll give you a quick background on it. The state board adopted California Trash Amendments. It's also called the State Trash Policy. You might also hear it as the trash order. It's all the same thing. But back in April in 2015, the state adopted a policy that agencies are going to have to implement full trash capture in their storm drain system, their stormwater conveyance system. The state water board delegates the authority down to the local regional boards to implement the order. So this June, the local regional board issued their order. It's called the trash order that requires the agencies, the San Diego co-permittees, to select which trash track route you're going to meet compliance. Essentially, agencies have to implement full trash capture, and full trash capture is anything smaller than as small as 5 millimeters. Essentially, they don't want cigarette butts from the street going down into the storm drain system. And agencies are required to implement trash compliance, trash capture devices in their storm drain systems, or equivalent state certified trash capture options to be in compliance with this. Like I said, they provide 2 tracks, track 1 or track 2 compliance. And once it gets implemented, you'll have a 10-year compliance schedule to be in compliance. I threw this table in the presentation, but this is in your staff report as well. It's an analysis of what the difference between the track 1 and track 2 route that you got to choose. Track 1 is basically anywhere where you have a high priority land use area, you implement a trash capture system that meets the compliance of the state. Track 2 is you implement these state certified trash capture systems wherever feasible, and then where it's not feasible, you're supposed to develop a program and implement something that's equivalent to a track 1 trash capture system. In addition to that, on track 2, you have monitoring, additional monitoring that you have to do every single year. You have additional reporting you need to do. You also have additional oversight and regulatory uncertainty on what you need to do for track 2 from the regional board. So, and then to also worthy to note that there's no consequence for switching tracks in between your compliance pathway. So in reality, it seems like the regulations are written where you're being pushed to select the route for all agencies to explore. Is it possible to install full trash capture in all your storm drain systems for high priority systems? And that's what actually staff is recommending that we do in Imperial Beach. So the first task was identify, well, where is the high priority land use areas as defined by the state order? This map identifies what it is. It's transit stations, it's commercial areas, it's mixed use areas, and it's high density residential. And it's important to note that high density residential is not the same as high density zoning. High density residential is any developed unit that has a higher density of more than 10 units per acre. So say you had a lot that was split, or a condo added onto a lot. Well, that automatically throws that parcel into a high priority land use area and subject to the state order. So then you threw the storm drain system on top of it, the high priority land use areas, and you identify, well, what storm drain basins do we have, our storm drain lines that run under these high priority land use areas, and those are the areas that you're required to meet the intent of this order. In Imperial Beach, because we're kind of like a mixed use type city, it essentially effectively includes our entire city by the nature of how our storm drain system is laid out, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because then we'll be a very sustainable community implementing green things. But I also wanted to point out that we're a good ways there already in the city. While we don't have an official trash program in the city, and we'll have to develop an official trash program, through our existing capital improvement projects, through our existing stormwater program, we are about a quarter of the way there of already meeting compliance for meeting full trash capture in the city. For example, the new green alleys meet the compliance standard, or meet the standards of the state. What we did on Palm Avenue meets the conditions of it. Our storm drain diverters at Palm and Date meet those conditions. Same thing with the new Elm Avenue project. We put trash screens in front of the school to help prevent trash from getting in there. Those meet the standards. And we've also put in trash capture systems in all of our municipal parcels in the city. We have storm drain inlet filters. We've been in there for probably about a decade. And then one of the biggest projects we put in 2003 was we actually put what's called a CDS unit. You can see the crane lifting it up, and that's at 10th and Imperial Beach Boulevard back in 2003. We're actually one of the first cities to put one of these trash capture systems in as part of our stormwater program. So we're already looking at how do we incorporate these requirements into our existing CIP programs, into our existing stormwater programs to really not have this be a major financial hit to our city. You might hear some of your other colleagues in other cities saying that this is a huge thing and the sky is falling. The benefit of Imperial Beach is we've always been able to integrate our stormwater program into our CIP program. And there's a whole lot of economy of scales of doing that, whereas larger agencies such don't have the benefit of able to do that, where they would implement individual projects just to address each individual stormwater requirement. So the recommendation is the next step they're looking at. We have to notify the regional board by September 5th of whatever tracks. So the staff report authorizes us to move forward with the regulatory compliance documents that we're required to submit. The regional board is then required to integrate this trash order into the next reissuance of our stormwater permit. That's anticipated to happen in December of next year, 2018. At that time, then the city will integrate a trash program into our jurisdictional, that's our GERM program, and into our watershed, our WQAP program. And then in the meantime, we'll still continue to integrate full capture systems into our CAPs. We got another big project to do the rest of Imperial Beach Boulevard with the grant fund. That's gonna probably complete the whole section of IB Boulevard and complete half of our city for being nearly in compliance with this order. So we're already making good strides in meeting these state orders. I think this is probably a good order. It's all about cleaning up neighborhoods, cleaning up communities, cleaning up the city. So with that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Not really so much a question, but because you've been very clear in your presentation, thank you very much. And I think the staff report is also clear. So great job, and you've been doing a great job for quite a long time regarding our stormwater compliance, and it shows in terms of how close we are to full compliance already. I guess one of the things that, unless you presented it while I'd stepped out for a minute, was you're recommending track 1. There's good reasons for it. To me, that's the way to go. Why should I debate with you about which track is better when you guys have been so successful with this program? But I didn't get a sense as to the difference in estimated cost between the two tracks. And I got the sense that maybe the upfront costs were greater for track 1, but the longer term costs in terms of monitoring and reporting and all that might be greater when you add in, over a number of years for track 2. But can you quantify that in any way?
Yeah, the intent of the state order is to have the cost be exactly the same, no matter which track you meet. The state water board came out with an economic analysis of what the impact of this is going to be, and they estimated at $2 to $10 per capita in the city, which is a huge dollar amount, for a city. So it's a large number that the state's anticipating that this is going to cost to implement. They were including programs such as street sweeping that most agencies are already doing and already account for. But the short answer is they're supposed to be equivalent. The reason why I would prefer track 1 at this time over track 2 is there's a whole lot of uncertainty if you go the track 2 route, where there's the discretion of the regional board to say you're not doing enough, you need to do more, you need to do a special study to prove that you're doing better, you need to do another study to prove that your loading is what you actually say it is. So all of the board tell you what to do doesn't exist on track 1, and that's the area that I want to be in.
So also in the report, follow up on that a little bit. It's really my last question. The physical analysis talks about a 10-year compliance timeframe, but it also goes on to say that a long-term funding source for device installation and maintenance has not yet been identified. So, that gives me a little bit of, concern in terms of a funding source being required that has not been identified. But how much do we need to identify? I'm trying to get a sense of, what is the capital cost to it, of this 10-year program?
We haven't done the exact analysis for Imperial Beach yet of what it's really going to cost, but to give you a ballpark of what it is, the CDS unit that we put in, those are high flow devices that you put on storm drain systems that are undersized, like most of our system is, that are subject to sea level rise, which our city is. Those come in at over $100,000 to put in. It's a pretty expensive one-time cost, but then there's less maintenance you have to do. You only got to clean them out twice a year. A cheaper alternative for installation is you can do trash grates over your storm drain inlets or trash covers in your pipes. The concerns with that is you have to have a much higher frequency of cleaning. And in fact, we're doing a study right now in San Diego region as part of all the co-producing. What is a trash generation rate? How often do these things need to be maintained? They picked the best trash capture system put inside the catch basin. A third of them failed during this winter because of the flow, and they're getting clogged up, and just the hydraulics, the water crushing these things. So that tells me right there that there's going to be potential flooding and concerns issues, or if you're not maintaining it enough frequency, and the report came out saying you should probably maintain it after every single storm. Cheap to install, but there's a high failure rate, and there's a higher cost of regular ongoing maintenance to it. So if we're going to put in some of these systems, we're probably going to do it with improvements to our storm drain system, which we're actually looking to do with addressing sea level rise. I can probably give you another example. On the north end of town, over behind Wally's, there's a storm drain basin. It's called the H storm drain line. The storm drain line is undersized, and at some point, whenever we do our 8th Street over there, we'll extend the size of that line. And while we're extending the size of that line, there's just not much of an extra cost to throw one of these units in it as well. I mean, there's these economies of scales of doing these larger improvements which are necessary to our system, and also throwing in compliance with this. So I guess that's a long way of answering your question on it.
Chris, you might want to
Thank
also,
you.
One thing, we'll continue to seek outside funding. In fact, we just received a grant for some storm drainage work of just over $2 million. And so we'll continue to seek that kind of funding to do these kind of projects as well.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Watts.
Nice presentation, Mr. Helmer. I appreciate it. Couple things. One, the nerd in me walks down and sees those things on the Palm Avenue, and the one thing that concerns me about the screens on there is the thing you brought up about how trash builds up in front of these, and it actually clogs them, and I see that could be a manpower intensive thing to get those things cleaned up. And I mean, these grants pay for infrastructure improvements, but it doesn't pay for a person to be out there doing those things. So I'm looking for what you think the challenges are to going to as we move forward on this. Is it manpower? Is it, um, or is it, or is it certain areas in our community? I mean, I want to know what you think now that you've looked at this, because I think that you're painting a very nice picture that this looked very like we're ahead of the power curve, but there's still some challenges.
So I'll use this map to kind of highlight it. You only have a handful of major storm drain lines in the city. You got 4.
Yeah.
And you already got 1 CDS unit on one of them. You got 3 more to put in that we could probably find some grant funds to put in. And I really only be comfortable putting in something that's in line, that's you're able to address high flows going through your system, because our system's old, it's undersized, and if you put anything in there that wasn't originally designed to be put in there, like a trash rack, it's going to cause additional flooding and backing up on the street. The interesting thing that I really want to see how this pans out in the rest of the region is the whole flooding concern, which I was debating whether or not to put in some of the pictures of we've had flood, because we've tried different systems to see which ones flood less, and they all seem to back up stormwater in our city. The ones that have trash screens or inlet grates or catch baskets that are a certain system. That has not been a concern in the region yet. And a lot of these other agencies are moving forward saying, we're going to put these in. And we just did a regional study that showed that a third of these failed in one single winter, but that's not a big deal. We're still going to move forward with this. So I feel like we're, at least in this agency, much more ahead of the game, because we've already been doing this for the last 20 years. And we've had a lot of lessons learned. And we're used to being a low-lying coastal city that's used to having flooding on here. So whatever we put in is not only going to capture trash, but it's going to improve the existing flooding and ponding situation that we have in the city.
Okay. Thank you.
Additional questions, comments? Great, thank you, Mr. Helmer. And, I think ultimately, I like the idea of trying to reduce stormwater runoff for these, stormwater capture basins, and, it just makes a lot more sense. So anyway, I appreciate all the good work you're doing. And I know a lot of work going into this, so it's not easy. So I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2017-7850, authorizing track 1 compliance pathway with Regional Water Quality Control Board trash order R9 2017-0077. Please vote. Great. And now we have resolution item 5.3.
Motion carried unanimously.
I'm sorry. Item 5.3, resolution number 2017-7844, approving and adopting the city's FY 2017-19 salary schedule and appointive management and confidential salary and benefit summary and position description and salary for Environmental and Natural Resources Director. And Human Resources Director Cortez will give the report on the item. Thank you.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. This item might seem like a general business, which typically it has been, but now we have new state law that requires us to, whenever we have salary and fringe benefits for local agency executive and department heads, changes that it's been done publicly. So moving forward, you'll see me up here in the dais when we have those changes. Like the mayor said, this item is to approve a resolution to approve the salary schedule for appointed management and confidential. I'm sorry, the salary schedule and the appointed management confidential summary benefit description, and also the position and salary for the Environmental and Natural Resources Director. Just to fill you in, tonight, you also, under the consent, concurrently approved the MOU with General Employees, SEIU, which basically this item that I am presenting to you codifies those changes in the MOU, which includes the salary part. It has been past practice that the city manager likes to pass through management those benefits that are typically, salary and benefits that are typically provided to our general employees. And that item is also part of this staff report. In addition, like I mentioned, it includes the position description and salary for the Environmental and Natural Resources Director, which Mr. Hall has announced, I believe, in the last 2 past meetings. Also, as one of the requirements and this is one of the reasons that we'll be bringing you this item, the salary schedule, with more frequency, is because CalPERS does require us to bring the salary schedule to the board or council anytime we have changes to salary. So if you might see it continues throughout the year. So this meets the requirement as well. And in addition, finally, it also includes a 3% COLA increase that it was applied to our firefighters per MOU, which council had already approved. We're already on the second year of that MOU for our firefighters. So it includes that as well as, again, as part of the CalPERS requirement. It is there. I do want to make a comment that some of these changes, based on the item, if you had an opportunity to read the MOU or the changes to the MOU, we will be the first city in the San Diego County that were able to agree with our labor groups to do cost sharing on our CalPERS. So in speaking with my colleagues, they're very impressed, and now we're the leading agency on the cost sharing, which is also inclusive of tonight's items. With that, I'm willing to answer any questions. You're welcome. I'll probably be back at the next meeting because we'll have to do a CalPERS contract amendment. Thank you.
Second.
Motion carried unanimously.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. I actually didn't mean for this to fall onto the consent agenda. I wanted to come before you and just let you know I'm really excited about this technology upgrade. It's been a long time coming, and I assure you when I first got here, they had talked about the financial systems, the land management systems, the website, and a few other things. And there were some things I needed to do from an accounting perspective to get things in order, but here we are now. And so I'm ready to move forward. And as the mayor read in the introduction, this is a resolution that will allow the city manager to sign a couple contracts with the companies that we've decided to go with. Those contracts are coming in. I'm just excited to get going. So it also is asking for an additional budget adjustment of $63,000. We've already allocated in the original budget $125,000. So this will cover the expense. This is not only just software licensing. This one-time cost is not just for the software licensing, it's also training, data migration, and more training. So we're really going to hit it. We learned from what was not done in the past. And one of the main things we learned was getting buy-in from other city staff. And so I ran this process a lot like I do my budgets, and that's where the departments that are going to be key to those individual applications become the decision makers. And believe me, they all have within this this upgrade. So just real quick, when I say enterprise resource planning system, I kind of broaden that term a little bit. Doesn't traditionally include the website, but I have included the website. It's something that needs to be upgraded. And so we're going to kick off that meeting. I'm going to look to Ed Vea here to become a real resource in that project. So as you all have input into what you would like to see on that website, please communicate with Ed or communicate directly with me as well. But we're going to reach out to city staff and get that kicked off. Include any kind of social media upgrades that we might want to see as well. This is, like I said, this is a total package in terms of the communication for the city. We already have a graphic information systems, but it's something that's completely underutilized. And so I would like to bring that to the forefront, use it more. If you're not familiar with that, if you ever go to the county, you want to look up a parcel and look up tax information, you're going through their GIS. And so we have those resources. We're going to look at that. We may even want to expand that as well. And then the keys to this this ERP system is our finance and HR packages. We've done a lot of research, and Tyler Technologies is really an up and coming product. They have many of the local agencies have gone with Tyler. We're completely excited about that. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And the land management, this is the product that was selected by our community development group. They happened to be the last vendor that did the presentation as part of the RFP. And we were going a different direction until we saw this. We were blown away. So we're really excited about this particular product. At the very bottom, I also wanted to mention that both these products contain a document management system. Our document management system right now is completely inadequate, and not just for internal uses, but for external data searches. Our clerk staff spends a tremendous amount of time on records requests, and so we want to solve that through this upgrade. So just lastly, why are we doing this? Our current system's completely aged and out of date. We really desire to be the leader in information technology and information platform when it comes to municipalities. And believe it or not, there's going to be a cost savings. Our old system is priced as old systems are. How are we doing? We did a rigorous vetting process. Actually, since I even started here, we've been talking to vendors. We did an RFP. We had several vendors reply to that RFP. We did demos with all of them. We went on a site visit. So I visited a city. A city actually did a live demo for us here. So we've had several demos. The Tyler product has been the #1 recommended product by my counterparts in the local communities. They have all said this is the product to go with. And the main recommendation came from our auditors. They said, absolutely, this is the product we wanted. So that's Tyler, the land management. We were looking at a Tyler product that also, I'm sorry, that was Tyler Financial. We were looking at the Tyler land management, but like I said, when we saw this last vendor, we said, this is the direction we want to go. When will this happen? The vendors are selected as part of that RFP process, and we're going to start having kickoff meetings right away. So as soon as we can get the approval from the council.
Yeah, Doug, can you explain to them where this funding is coming from and where that fund stands?
Yeah, sorry. So we have an IT technology fund, and it has about $300,000+ in reserves, and it was all set aside even before I got here to do this project. And so those are where those funds are coming from, and that fund is continually replenished by the general fund and the sewer fund as its share of participation for these type of things.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Spriggs.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley, for the presentation, and you certainly made a good case for an upgrade. So great on that. And I just had like 3 questions. I think, well, first I really wanted to congratulate you on moving in this direction, especially the time and cost saving aspect for the public, getting information, and internally moving towards paperless. I think it's a great move for efficiency. But I did want to ask you to elaborate just a little bit on the public-facing part of this system. You know, I think one of our aspirations that's been articulated from time to time, and it's why we do the public budgeting process and all of that is we want to have as much public knowledge and engagement and as much transparency as we can. And I'd like you to comment a little bit about whether and to what extent this new system is going to aid in that regard. Second, so that the public-facing part of it, what kind of improvements are we going to see in that regard? Second question is real simple. We've talked about it many times, whether the finance and HR package is going to help you with your financial forecasting, or whether you're still going to have to, run that as a sort of side effort. And thirdly, and this may be related to the first, what's the new website going to look like? Is there any way to sort of depict it, describe it, and if keeping it up to date is all on VEA, that's a lot of work. What are we going to do to be able? I mean, a website's great, but if it's not up to date, if it doesn't have information on it that people need, again, this is the outward facing, the public part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's out of date and all that stuff. Then that's not really effective. So those are the three kind of areas. And
Yeah, so I'll start from the end there. The updating the website look. There's a real common theme for municipalities these days in terms of the look and feel. A lot of it is about I'm here and I want to do something or I want to find something, and so they really focus in on making sure people don't have to go through a lot of different clicks to get to where they want, and that's really critical to us, and we'll be doing that. As far as updates, these technologies now are developed so that making changes, adding content is very user friendly, and it's disseminated amongst different staff as long as you give the authority and the approvals to do that. And there's actually authority and approval levels within it to where you can allow departments to kind of manage their general area. And so it's not all relied on one person to make those changes. And so we'll want to look at that structure, and the technology is there for it. It's a matter of us implementing it and make sure we have the control. In terms of the Tyler product having its forecasting tools, and that's one of the wonderful things that I really loved about the product is its integration into Microsoft. Microsoft Excel is still a real engine when it comes to developing models, gives you some flexibility. And what I've done with our current system is pretty remarkable. I can't wait to see what I can do with this one. So we'll have a tool that will allow me to do what I would really like to do, just to work on these models and such. The public kind of facing aspect, I believe, how does the public access the website? Was that the first question? Yeah. So again, we want to make sure that when the public comes to our website, that it's readily available for what they want to do. So if they're going to come and report graffiti, it's real simple for them to click on it, and then whether on a mobile app, they're on an iPad or a pad or the computer, and they can quickly do what they want to do. The tools, the land management tools are all about that. They're all about the engagement with the community. Do you want to come and apply for a building permit? It's all right there, and it's all mobile ready. Whether or not you want to apply for a business license, everything is electronic, online, and paperless. So that's the goal, and I'm not talking about just being the average municipality when it comes to these tools. I really want to excel, and I think we can do that. When the site visits, whenever I went to a different facility, I was all gung-ho about, man, you guys must be killing it with these great tools, and they didn't. But it wasn't the tool. It wasn't the tool. So it really comes down to having that extra bit of energy to do the best. So I think we can do that here.
thank you, Mr. Bradley. Keep up the good work. That's great.
Mr. Patton?
Yeah. We're lucky to have you. You're always well prepared. And Mr. Hall, we have Ms. Cortez and Mr. Helmer and our staff every time they do presentations. And Tyler, everybody that does the presentations, they're on. They're well prepared, know what they're talking about, and it really helps the flow of the meeting. And So I want to thank you for your expertise. You mentioned briefly, and I wrote it down, we've been spending a lot of hours on record requests, and without going into huge detail, is this going to help us in what way?
Yeah, without a doubt. So a lot of times records requests is all about, first of all, the information, and having that information collected properly, stored properly, organized properly. And so that comes down to the basics of your systems and making sure they're set up correctly. And so we're gonna work really hard on that, and we have the tools that will allow us to do that. And secondly is the ability to offload a lot of those records requests that the public could do on their own. A lot of times we have our staff pulling records on a piece of property. People just want to know what were the building permits pulled on that piece of property. They're interested in probably purchasing it. That is something that can be done completely automated through this system for that external staff, and it wouldn't take our staff time to do that. That document management system that I mentioned on the bottom is going to be huge for us. Right now we kind of have a document management system. It's kind of updated. Not anymore. We're going to have our records in the right spot that's easily accessible. So even if our staff does need to do the records request or the search, it'll be easier for them to do.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Just let the public put it out there for them. If they want to find it, let them find it. Yeah. And then I think it's great that we also have funds for this. That the fact of the matter is we're not taking a loan out. We're not taking this from some other fund, that we have funds and we planned ahead. So that's a great job. It says a lot about our city. So thank you.
Mr. Bradley, thank you so much for this presentation, and it's exactly what I was expecting it to be. This is a quantum leap for us, and I know when you got here, you must have gone into our finance department, and I have visions of you, sitting in front of a box and kind of, ruffling through papers, which, I'm sure wasn't that bad, but this is a quantum leap for us. And, and I think of our staff, and Ms. Cortez and I had a brief conversation before the meeting about we're a lean organization, and we always have to be looking toward being more efficient. So, Mr. Hall, I would like to thank you for leading the charge on this, and all of our department heads for really carrying that forward. I can just imagine how excited you are about this. Mr. Vea, you and I had gone to a league meeting at conference here in San Diego and saw some technology back then. This was maybe 4 years ago. So that we're finally getting to this point. And I look at how it has changed even in that 4 years. But you're right, we spend a great deal of time on records management. Now that the public, if they're looking for something and they can find it readily and free up our staff to deal with greater issues is absolutely awesome. So thank you for this. I would like to move this item. Unless you had a comment, Mayor. Oh, okay, I would like to move this item forward.
Second.
Sorry.
Motion carried unanimously.
Do you need me to read that again since I didn't have my microphone? Did you hear it? Okay, okay. All right. All right, sorry. Okay, we're almost there. This isn't as complicated. Number 2.7, adoption of resolution number 2017-7847, authorizing the Administrative Services Director to accept a grant from San Diego Gas and Electric and to increase the appropriation in the Fire Rescue Department budget in the amount of $2,500 for expenditures in support of the Imperial Beach CERT team. Fire Chief French will give the report.
All right, Mayor, City Council. Back in May of this year, we were invited by SDG&E to apply for a Safe San Diego initiative. And as part of their initiative, what they do is they give money to organizations in the county that support and have programs that help with disaster preparedness and programs like that would be like fire safe councils, community emergency response teams, volunteer fire departments, volunteer organizations that put the word out about disaster preparedness. So as part of this initiative, we applied for the grant, and on July 13th, we were presented with a check for $2,500. And as part of the grant, we applied for equipment to support our community emergency response team, which over the years, which we started back in 2004 with our community emergency response team, we've trained hundreds of people in that. We haven't been so active in it as of late, but we do have monthly meetings where we do have our members come in and we do training and things like that. So with this money, we'll be able to train new members of the community to come out and support the fire department, support the city when there is a disaster. So as part of the training, we teach them in disaster preparedness, fire suppression, emergency medical operations, search and rescue, and different skills like this. And with this money, we can give them the supplies they need. So when they're done with their training, they can go out and help the community, help their neighbors in time of a disaster. So we'd like to thank SDG&E for this grant.
Great, thank you. Any comments, questions?
I just wanted to comment, Chief, thank you so much for all that you have done over the years for the CERT program. I did want this pulled so that we can publicly thank SDG&E. I don't know, well, Mr. Villa is gone, but if we could arrange like maybe a photo op and the check and thanking them, maybe get the newspaper out there. And it would also, the purpose for that is to educate the community too, that we're always in search of new volunteers for the CERT program. That's really the reason why I wanted to pull the item. So thank you, and maybe Manager Hall, we could arrange for that to happen.
Sure.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2017-7847, authorizing the Admin Services Director to accept the grant from SDG&E and to increase the appropriation in the Fire Rescue Department budget in the amount of $2,500 for expenditures in support of the Imperial Beach CERT team.
So moved. Second.
Please vote. Computer's not. And I apparently didn't mention item 2.8, so we have to vote on that consent agenda item. So if you could please vote to approve consent agenda item 2.8. After that, sorry. Didn't work.
I agree.
Motion carried unanimously, and Councilmember Patton voted aye.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to, if we could please vote to approve consent agenda item 2.8. We already need a motion. I guess I need a motion for that, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay, please vote for agenda item 2.8.
Oh, there we go. Oh,
There we go.
it goes.
Adjourn the regular meeting.
Wait, we didn't get a, we should have got a, she had to.
I don't have a vote from Councilmember Patton and Councilmember
Sorry,
Spriggs.
I'm failing.
The electrical circuit.
Please note that the mayor is failing. again.
Told you.
Can we get an oral vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carried unanimously.
Please note that the mayor missed the surf this morning, which was noted by Mark West, and failed at managing the consent agenda item.
I told
voting
you.
Process. All right, we're calling the closed session meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Spriggs?